What do Louis Sachar, J.K. Rowling, and Lemony Snicket have in common? Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl is practically a legend among writers. He completely changed the way in which children's novels are written, and he is in many ways the original modern children's author. His stories were so vivid and imaginative that it was easy to translate them to visual media. In fact, his most popular books are also movies. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, James and the Giant Peach, and the story we'll be kicking off our new series of reviews with today. This is Books vs. Movies review of Matilda. Matilda was published in 1988, toward the end of Roald Dahl's career and life. It was easily one of his most popular and best-selling novels, and it was the next to last novel that he would write before his death in 1990. So how does one take such a popular and well-told story and reimagine it? Well, in 1996, director Danny DeVito tried to do just that with TriStar Pictures' film Matilda, starring Mara Wilson, Pam Ferris, M. Beth Davetts, Rhea Perlman, and, well, Danny DeVito. The movie did fairly well and even managed to snag a few awards. But did it truly live up to the precedents that had been set by the original book? Let's find out. We'll begin by looking at the title character, Matilda Wormwood. In the book, Matilda is described as a sweet, charming girl with extraordinary mental abilities who, unfortunately, lives with a highly unappreciative family. The movie portrays her in much the same light, showing us the tiny Matilda spelling her name as a baby, dressing herself as a toddler, and making pancakes as a 3- or 4-year-old girl. Mara Wilson is able to pull off both intelligent and charming, and is a very likable character. But there are some differences too. The movie Matilda is a lot more rebellious. She sasses back to her parents and is a little more argumentative with Trunchbull than the book Matilda is. This gives her more of an edge. Yes it does. It also makes her, how can I put this, stupider. Hey now, she is just as intelligent in the movie version as she is in the book version. Yeah, okay, as far as book smarts is concerned, yeah, she's just as intelligent, but she is impulsive to the point of being reckless, as evidenced by the fact that she visits Trunchbull's house not once, but twice during the course of the movie. Oh, come on, she did that out of loyalty for a teacher, with reaction to the way that she had been mistreated. You cannot honestly— Yes, but she did the same thing in the book. In fact, she doesn't even jump into the fray until she hears the story of Miss Honey's plight, and even then her reaction is to strategize rather than just act. In fact, that's the main difference between the two. Book Matilda is a strategist. She never acts until she knows exactly what's going on and what her plan of action should be. When Matilda writes the message from Magnus to Trunchbull on the chalkboard, that plan was the result of weeks of practice and planning, whereas movie Matilda made the plan almost literally last minute. And doesn't that speak to her quick-mindedness? To a point, and that point is she never would have had to come up with the plan last minute if she hadn't gone to Trunchbull's house with no plan other than just to freak her out. And then, of course, there's the newt scene. Damn it. Would you like to tell them, or shall I? I'll do it. Trunchbull discovers a newt in her water, freaks out, and calls it a snake, and Matilda, acting in a very Hermione Granger-ish manner, just has to correct Trunchbull and tell her it's a newt.
I just thought you'd like to know it's not a snake, it's a newt.
Okay, one of the first things that you learn as a child in school is that when your teacher is hopping mad, you never call attention to yourself. Ever. You dumb kid. Plus, movie Matilda uses her powers a lot more often, almost wastefully at times. Book Matilda only uses her powers to knock over the glass, to write the message on the board, and to practice writing the message on the board. Once movie Matilda discovers her powers, she uses them for everything, and I mean everything. Now this, coupled with her impulsiveness, does make her a little bit more childlike than her literary counterpart. But the book Matilda was childlike too, demonstrating an ability to make friends and relate to people while still being incredibly intelligent and being more cautious and thinking things through carefully. Her role as a strategist is much more consistent with her higher level of intelligence, and for that reason I think that the book Matilda is the stronger character. So now that we've examined our protagonist, let's look at the other side of things and look at the antagonists. This movie was very well cast. Roald Dahl is a master of creating caricature-like characters, so you honestly couldn't do better than Danny DeVito and Rhea Perlman as the Wormwoods. True, they don't look exactly like how they're described in the books, but the point is that they look ridiculous, because the Wormwoods are thoroughly ridiculous people. For all the antagonists, and for the Wormwoods especially, the movie went more for comedy than the book. The Wormwoods in the books are really more cruel and overbearing than amusing. The Wormwoods in the movie are actually both. DeVito makes us laugh, but can also be very intimidating, which, let's face it, is no easy task for a man who's only 5 feet tall. The movie also has the addition of Mikey. Ugh, Mikey, what a little prick. He's in the book too, but not as an antagonist. In the book, Mikey's mostly just there to be the oldest son and to give a contrast between how his parents treat him and how they treat Matilda. He isn't really mean to Matilda, though he's not nice to her either. He doesn't really interact with her at all. In the movie, Mikey's exactly the type of obnoxious, spoiled older brother you would expect in this type of environment. He's just as mean to Matilda as his parents are. This makes him a tad more realistic, as well as more of an antagonist. But what about Trunchbull? Well, in the book, the Trunchbull is a huge, loud, and overbearing headmistress who truly cares about the education of her students. Wait. What? She cares about the education of her students. She insults them, she abuses them, and yet you're saying Just hear me out. Yes, Trunchbull insults and abuses the students, but only if they get an answer wrong. She asks them a question, if they get the wrong answer, then she insults and abuses them until they get the answer correct, and then she stops and moves on. Now, I'm not going to say that this is the best teaching method in the world, because it isn't, but she does at least attempt to teach them something that they were supposed to have learned that week. Whereas the movie Trunchbull doesn't really try to teach them anything. She just insults and abuses them the whole time. Okay, maybe. But that doesn't explain why Trunchbull targets Matilda so suddenly in the book. In the movie, Trunchbull does the same horrible things, but she always has a reason. Because again, Matilda is reckless to the point of being stupid. When Trunchbull threatens to expel Matilda in the book, it's pretty much an empty threat, because Matilda legitimately didn't do anything. And there's also the fact that Trunchbull takes the word of a used car salesman who cheated her over the word of a teacher. In the movie, Wormwood cheating her is actually part of the reason why she targets Matilda in the first place. And she doesn't threaten Matilda with expulsion until she finds out that Matilda broke into her house, which is a pretty legitimate reason to expel someone. Also, just like the Wormwood, she is at times comical, but also very intimidating. She mocks the children a lot more than in the book, but the way it's shot, you can see why the students quake with fear when they see her. But probably what I like best about the movie is the fact that we get to see Trunchbull outside of school. Now, do you remember what Roald Dahl said about children and how they relate to teachers in the book? Sure. In the book, Roald Dahl talks about how children don't tend to see their teachers as people, but more like entities that appear in the classroom at the beginning of the school day and just disappear at the end of the school day. He says this in reference to Matilda getting to see where Miss Honey lives and how she spends her time outside of school. However, the book does not give us the same exploration of Trunchbull and the movie does. Matilda's ill-advised visits to her house give us a glimpse into Trunchbull's everyday life, which also shows us something that Trunchbull fears. Something that, again, we didn't see in the book. This rounds out the character a little more, making her more of a horrible person rather than just a horrible thing. Ultimately, the antagonists of the movie are just a little bit better conceived, taking the original ideas of Roald Dahl and capitalizing on them to give us truly ridiculous and yet detestable villains.